Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and today, March 5th, is the day that so many people had circled on their calendars. Dodge just unveiled their brand new 2025 Charger to us, most of which I was kind of expecting, but they did throw in a couple of surprises today. So their video is out there on their website, plus a whole bunch of additional information. So today, I will not only dissect their video, but talk about some of the other specs talked about on their website, a whole bunch of new details on the new 2025 Charger. So we'll talk about it today. If you guys are brand new to the channel, don't forget, hit subscribe. You can find that button right over here. Also, if you hit that notification bell, you're notified as to when my brand new content comes out. And you can also follow me at RacerXNew on Instagram. And with that said, off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
First, let's talk a little bit about Dodge's brand new video that's out there on their website and on their YouTube channel. And it's kind of a unique looking video. I've never seen them do anything exactly like this before. Obviously, they spent a lot of time on this. And really, they kind of gave us a reincarnation of the Dodge brothers, if you will. But they look kind of futuristic and cartoonish, obviously, with them being gone for quite some time. Almost Tron looking in this video.
Holy Hamtramck, what is that and who the hell are you?
And then, of course, we see the brand new 2025 Charger pulling up and Tim Kuniskis, the CEO of Dodge, getting out and kind of giving us a little bit of like a history lesson on the history of muscle and why they changed the game. So I'll be playing multiple clips throughout my video today of what Dodge actually put out just for illustration purposes. But I also want to make sure I jump into all the specs that they gave us as well. But Dodge, pretty cool video. I know a lot of people are not happy about the movement here, obviously under the Stellantis umbrella. And I read the comments already on Dodge's reveal, and a lot of them, once again, are not very kind simply because they're not revealing a V8. But several new surprises today. I want to kind of jump into some of the specs that they talked about on the video. So let's jump into that. There are a lot of little takeaways after watching Dodge's reveal video. I've watched it like 3 times now, and I've seen lots of little bitty things each time I've watched it and took away something a little bit different. I've got all my notes right here about the things I wanted to talk about in the video. And one of the first things I noticed is the fact that you've got Tim Kuniskis driving around in the brand new 2025 Charger, and riding shotgun with him is one of the Dodge brothers who basically looks completely bewildered throughout the course of the video.
It's fueled by the Brotherhood, but powered by lithium.
The elixir?
No. We did the car that runs on alcohol last year. I'm talking about batteries driving electric drive motors to deliver instant torque to all 4 wheels. The combination is going to redefine what it means to never lift and push the performance of this new Dodge muscle car beyond any conventional no-prep muscle car.
And Tim actually takes the time to talk about why the decision was made to go to electric muscle and go away from like the Hemis and the V8s that Dodge is known for. And once again, the Dodge brother looks super confused. And I know a lot of you people at home probably feel the same way that the Dodge brother does. But I thought it was interesting that Tim actually took the time to talk a little bit about it in this video and just sort of address it before he got into a lot of the specs. So let's look into the specs a little closer. One of the first things they address is the fact that the new Daytona, which we already knew was going to be the electric version of the 2024 Charger, will have multiple trims out there, which we basically knew. They talk about the brand new Scatpack, and you can see that Scatpack B right there on the side of the car, plain as day. So we already knew that was basically going to be sort of that mid-tier level trim. They talked about the RT as well. So the new Scatpack, 670 all-wheel drive horsepower being put to the ground with a 325 width tire on the back. So aside from the Viper, that is the widest tire that you had on a Dodge. Even the Bad Daddy Demon 170 behind me has 315s, even though they're Mickey Thompsons. They're very sticky, a lot of sidewall. It's not as wide as what's coming on the new Charger. So when it comes to traction with all-wheel drive and everything, even though it's got 670 horsepower, I don't think traction is going to be an issue in this car at all. It should be extremely quick. And in the video, Tim Kuniskis went on to say it is even faster than a 807 horsepower Redeye.
It's gonna out-accelerate today's Redeye supercharged V8. And I'm not even talking about the 800 volt SRT Banshee system yet.
So think about that for just a second. So 670 horsepower being faster than an 807 horsepower rear wheel drive Redeye. That is pretty impressive. I know a lot of people just are simply going to hate it because it's electric, but when you talk about performance, it will be extremely fast. This is exactly what I talked about, 600 pound-feet of torque. Now, something else that is kind of interesting that I want to talk about, they talked about the eRupt transmission, only available in the SRT model. So that was kind of glossed over just a little bit. So I don't know if they consider the Scatpack to be an actual SRT model or not. That's always been kind of a bone of contention with a lot of people. Is a Scatpack actually an SRT? We don't really know. It still remains unclear if the eRupt transmission will appear in the new Scatpack. I firmly believe that it will. And basically that is a electric car that's going to feel like it's shifting like a gasoline powered car. There's no other car in the market that's going to do that. So I'm kind of interested to drive this car just to see how it actually drives and shifts and feels like a real car. Now, another thing that you'll notice right away, and they showed it in the video, they changed the exhaust note. It no longer sounds like somebody stepping on a cat's tail, which is kind of what I think everybody thought that it sounded like when they showed it to us back at Speed Week in 2022. It now sounds like a grumbly, supercharged Hemi V8. So they decided, look, there was enough kickback to where they want to change it to where it sounds like a V8. Initially, Tim said he didn't want it to sound like something it isn't, but I guess they had so much kind of kickback that they decided, look, let's make it sound like a really gnarly V8. So the new Fradsonic chambered exhaust, that's what it sounds like, a loud Hellcat engine. Which I feel like is an improvement on what it sounded like before. A lot of people are like, why make it sound like that? But I guess that was a decision that they decided to go with. So the new sound of the Scatpack and the RT, it's going to sound basically just like the old V8s, which, you know what, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I'm really interested to see just how the thing drives. Something else that they talked about is the horsepower of the new RT version of the 2025 Charger Daytona. It will be 496 horsepower. So 11 more horsepower in the incoming RT than the current Scatpack model makes. So they're definitely jumping up the horsepower quite a bit on both the RT and the Scatpack models. And being all-wheel drive and electric, I would hazard to guess that the new RT will be significantly faster than the current Scatpack. And we already talked about the new Scatpack being faster than the Hellcat. So we know from a performance perspective, these cars will be very, very capable. Now, they also showed us a four-door version that will be available with the same power plants in both the RT and the Scatpack.
Yes, the Charger Daytona will be available as a two-door coupe and the four-door sedan hatch, both with the same wide-body stance that will put the passive world on notice.
Now, one thing I thought was pretty interesting, they talked about direct connection, how you were going to have the opportunity to have both stage 1 and stage 2 direct connection kits that would bump up the horsepower by like 40 horsepower based on all the teasers and everything that they showed us. And my understanding was 670 horsepower was going to be kind of that Scatpack trim, but only with the stage 2 direct connection kit kind of enabled, if you will, to get it up to that horsepower level. They didn't say anything about direct connection upgrades getting it to 670 horsepower. So in my mind, right out of the box with those two electric motors, one driving the front wheels and one driving the rear wheel, you just get 670 horsepower. I really wish they'd given us a little bit on price. We don't know how much these are going to cost. And the other thing I thought was interesting is, while they mentioned it just very briefly, we got nothing on the 800-volt Banshee. And that's the one I think everybody is just so curious about, is how much horsepower will the new 800-volt Banshee actually make? They gave us nothing on it. And it doesn't look like for 2025, that model year, they're even going to give us the Banshee. If they do, it's going to be really late. It may even be a 2026. Now, I don't know the reason for that, but the Banshee, we got nothing on it. You had to be paying pretty close attention, but there were several places where they actually talked about when these cars will be available. It looks like the two-door version of the electric car will be available late this year. And if you want a four-door version, it won't be available until early 2025. I want to talk a little bit about the interior of the car, because I know there are mixed reviews about the exterior of the car. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people aren't sure what to think. But I will say that the interior of the Charger and the Challenger definitely needed a refresh. And I actually really like the interior of the brand new Charger. They showed that at length. There's multiple pictures of it on the website, but the brand new dash of the new Charger it's just fantastic, I think. And the seats, I absolutely love the seats in the new car. You guys know Recaro is one of my sponsors. The new seats look like they come directly from Recaro. I don't believe they're Recaro's. I even called Recaro to see. I didn't get really any response back. They look just like something you would get from Recaro. They look very bolstered, very sporty, and I think they made a really nice upgrade. It's not that the old seats weren't comfortable, because they very much were, but these look very, very sporty and a little bit more futuristic, and I really like the seats in the new car. And you get black or red, and you can get an all leather seat, or you can get a suede leather seat combo. So I feel like they did a really good job with the interior of the new Charger. Plus, they talked about the fact that the new car is a hatch, so functionally, it'll actually be able to hold more stuff, right? I mean, it's a little more cargo area. The seats fold down, and it just gives you a little bit bigger profile, like a normal hatchback would be, if you want to be able to put more things in it. So from a functionality perspective, the new design may actually be just a little bit better. But I just wanted to talk about the interior. I feel like they did a fantastic job with the interior of the new car, because it definitely needed a refresh. Next, let's talk about the trim that I'm actually more excited about. And I was on the fence whether or not they were going to reveal it to us today, but they did. It is the brand new 2025 Charger 6-pack. So they don't dub it a Daytona. This is the 6-pack, the internal combustion version of this. We already knew it was coming, and today they told us about it. You've got a standard output version using the Hurricane at 420 horsepower. And then you've got a high output version, the same one they put in the Grand Wagoneer series like 2 and 3, the 510 horsepower. They turned up the wick on it to exactly what I thought they were going to, 550 all-wheel drive horsepower. And they gave us the ability to actually turn the all-wheel drive system off and make it a 2-wheel drive. So 550 horsepower Hurricane engine, inline twin turbo 6-cylinder.
Oh yeah, that wasn't the sound of the Fratsonic chamber in the Banshee. That was the scream of the most power-dense internal combustion engine Dodge has ever installed in a muscle car. In 2025, the all-new Charger will also be available as a 6-pack with the twin-turbo Hurricane. Standard output hits the streets with 420 horsepower, and the HO spins the dyno to 550 horsepower.
I think that thing is actually going to be a blast to drive. I know a lot of people are upset that it's not a V8, but just be aware, this will be a really fast internal combustion offering. So I'm actually pretty excited about it. They're putting it to the ground through an 8-speed transmission. And this is the one that I really hope that they were going to show us today. I don't know if I can get on board with the electric until I drive it and see what it really drives like. But the new Hurricane high output, that is the one that has me so intrigued with it being all-wheel drive. I think it'd be really interesting to take a 550 horsepower all-wheel drive Charger and put it up against the current Hellcat. And I bet it would be very interesting to see what the results were going to be. So yes, I realize it's not a V8. I love my V8s. You see it right back here in the Demon. But I am super intrigued with the new high output 2025 Charger with the Hurricane in it. And I feel like that is a tuner's dream. So I feel like that could easily be a 750 horsepower all-wheel drive monster. That would be, remember, this is a much lighter car, much lighter chassis, all new. So I feel like that could be an extremely quick and fun car to own. So definitely a lot of things to kind of ponder after their reveal video today. A lot of specs, a lot of things sort of floating through my head as well. Would I be somebody that would be interested in a 2025 Charger with a Hurricane in it? In terms of the electric car, I still want to drive it as I mentioned before. Dodge has assured me that this car will drive very different than any other electric on the market. Certainly a lot of electrics are really ugly. This one I don't think is ugly, a little bit different, but I would certainly like to at least see what the car is all about. Will I actually buy a Hurricane powered Charger in the future and tune it to be a monster? we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of unanswered questions out there as well, even after the reveal, right? I mean, what is really going on with the Banshee? What are our price points going to be for these particular cars? What happened with the direct connection stage kits, right? I mean, do we still have the option of doing a direct connection stage kit to take maybe a Scatpack that's 670 horsepower and make it 800 horsepower? Or did they just decide, look, that's not the way we want to go. We're just kind of scrapping the whole direct connection upgrade thing. And we're just going to kind of go with the, you know, almost 500 horsepower RT and the 670 horsepower Scatpack and see how that goes. I mean, so I'm still asking a lot of questions in my head about what's really going on with these cars, but hopefully they'll continue to reveal a little bit more to us as time goes on. Can't wait to get my hands on one of these just to go drive them around and kind of give you my first impressions. We will see how that goes. Let me know what you guys think about all this new information. Hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.
It's go time for the next generation of Dodge muscle.